Good morning, all. Welcome to SALINA'S world. Thank you for joining me. Today, we are going to be making Tabasco sauce. Now, it's going to be the green Tabasco sauce that is not so hot. Now, I took all the peppers that was growing on my plant, and for the end of the year, I took them all off. So there is a little bit of red ones in there, but a lot of green. Let me show you. What I've been doing here is soaking them in a salt water bath, cold water, for about 15 minutes with a little bit of salt, non-iodized salt. Non-iodized. Now you can get this non-iodized at Walmart. You just got to look. It says no iodized on it. So I did about 2 tablespoons of non-iodized salt in this, and I've been soaking them for about 15 minutes. And yes, I do have, I believe, 2 little ghost peppers in it. Not going to hurt a thing, but most of these are green, so it's not going to be so hot. If you want the hot Tabasco sauce, make sure they're all red. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain these. I've went through and I took off all the tops. Okay? Take off all the tops of them. Use gloves when you do that because the oils off of these peppers will burn your hands. Okay, I'm going to bring you over here to the pot. Now this recipe calls for 5 pounds of peppers, and I don't have 5 pounds. I only have 2. So for 5 pounds of peppers, you would use 1 cup of vinegar. Since I've only got 2, boy, that fumes are already getting to me. But since I only got 2, I'm only using a half of cup of vinegar. Okay? Turn that on high heat, and we'll let that boil for about 15 minutes. Now, in the meantime, while that is boiling, we are going to take, let me get you situated here. While that is boiling, we are going to take these bottles, and we're going to sanitize them. I'm going to put them in a pan laying down. And I got to put cold water in it. Start off with cold water because your bottles are cold. If you start off with hot water, it can crack your bottles. So I start off with cold water. Make sure the water covers them real good. So a little over a half pot of water. And I'm going to put these on the stove on high heat. I know I got to keep moving you around here. I'm going to put a lid on this, and I'm going to let them boil for about 10 minutes. And this will boil for about 15. In the meantime, I've got the lids to those bottles, and I'm going to just soak them in some hot water. Not boiling, just some hot water that I've heated up in the microwave. Because you want to make sure everything is sanitized. So I got some hot water. I put it in there. Okay, for these peppers, For 5 pounds of peppers, it calls for a tablespoon of salt. I'm only going to use probably 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt in this because I did soak them in salt water too. Get this spoon out here. Oh, I found one with the stem on it. Sometimes you'll do that. But I'm going to make sure that these all get coated in that vinegar. Now don't put your face over top of this pan because the fumes can really get to you. It is best to wear a mask, and I'll probably put one on in just a few minutes. But as of right now, I'm going to let all these boil, and I'll bring you back when it's time to do the next step, okay? See you in a minute. Okay, everyone, I have put on a mask. I have turned on the exhaust, and I did open a window. Okay, it is best to do this outside, but it is like 10 to 7 in the morning, and it's cold out there. So, when you're boiling your peppers, make sure you stir them every so often so you get all of the peppers into that vinegar. Okay? You want all the peppers to get soft. Now these fumes are very, very potent. So you got to be very, very careful. Now my bottles are boiling. Now I only put 3 in because all of the peppers will only make maybe 1 bottle. But I put 3 in for just in case. Okay, now they've been boiling for about 10 minutes now. So I'm going to take the lid off for just a bit. And I'm going to take my merge blender and I'm going to blend them down just a bit. Bring you over here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just blending them down. Yeah. I will put this in a food processor too. Get you back over here. Letting both hands here for a minute. Now it does look like I need a little more vinegar in here. It's boiled down the vinegar, so I'm going to add just a little bit more vinegar. Not a lot. going to get some liquid in there. Okay. And clean this off. And I'm going to let this finish boiling. Okay, I'm back. For the next stage, we got to work in batches. So I'm going to let this cool off a bit so it's workable. But I'm going to take a little bit of my peppers and I'm going to put them in my blender here. Okay. Now if you have a juicer, the juicer would be better. But I don't have a juicer. So this is the way I'm going to do it. Okay. Now work in batches on this, and then you pulse this or blend it up till it's really liquefied as much as it can get. Now you gotta get this into like a puree, as pureed as possible. Now you'll pour this mixture in a sieve like this. I forgot my gloves. Let me go get my gloves. Now you take this and you smash it as much as you can to get the juice out of it. That's why you got to work in stages, because you just want the juice. You don't want all the pulp. Oh. I put a little too much in here, so you want all that juice. So if you had a juicer, it'd be a lot better, because the juicer will strain this pulp. But since I don't have a juicer, I got to do it by hand. Now 2 pounds of pepper is not going to give you much juice. It may give me 1 bottle. Now I'll probably strain this twice to make sure I get all the pulp out of it. If you have like a tea towel, you can put it in the tea towel and wring it out. See, I got a little bit of pulp in that, so I will strain it again. So it's not giving much juice. You can see that. So I will strain that again, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now, if you don't want to sit there and strain it and push the pulp through the strainer, you can get like a cheesecloth or what do you call this? This is the cheesecloth or a tea towel, and squeeze it through. I'm going to put some of this in this towel. Hopefully it don't fall through. Okay. Then you take it and just pull it together like this and just squeeze all the juice out of it. So if you don't have a juicer, you can improvise. This is time consuming, but to me, my family's worth it. Just squeeze it all out. Get as much juice as you can out. And twist it. And just squeeze. A lot of juice will come out of it this way. A lot more than just using the strainer. Once you're done with the pulp, I put it in a bowl, and then I will blend it again and strain it again to see if there's any more juice, because you want to try to get as much juice as you can. Okay, I'll get this done and I'll show you the next step. Okay, now I've strained it real good, and then I put it back through the blender for a second time, and I strained it again. Okay, and it left this. It's just, you can find the thing here. Let you see this. It's all liquid now, and it's pretty thick. Okay. Now what you do to it is I've boiled my bottles to disinfect them, to make sure they're nice and sanitized, and then I pour it in. Whoop. Glad I had it over the bowl. Maybe this funnel's a little too small, but it's pretty thick. Now, if you don't like it thick like this, you can put it back on the stove and use about a tablespoon more of vinegar, and it will thin it out. There we go. I just needed to pull it out just a little bit. I had it stuffed in the bottle and it was closed it up. Okay. And pour a little more in it. And you do this until the bottle gets almost full. Okay. There you go. One good bottle of Tabasco sauce. You'll put the lid on it that I've been soaking in warm water. Wipe it down, put your label on it, and put your date and put it in the refrigerator. Now, if you want to save this and put it on your shelf, then you can put it in a canning jar and Waterbath can it for at least 10 minutes. You get your water in your Waterbath canner boiling real good. And once it starts boiling, then you let that boil for 10 minutes. And then you can put them on your shelf. But as right now with this, I'm just going to put it in my refrigerator. The rest of this, I will can it. I only need one in my refrigerator. So I will show you how to can that in just a minute. Okay, now for canning it, you put it in a jar that's been sanitized and get a little bit of vinegar on a paper towel and wipe your ring. Make sure your ring has nothing on it. Now, I've already sanitized these jars and lids. So, make sure it's only finger tight. And then you bring it over to the canner. Put it in your canner. Lower it down and make sure the water is about 1 inch to 2 inches above your jar. Now, since I am putting a cold jar in, I'm putting cold water in. Now, if the jars were hot and the stuff that you put in the jar was hot, then you make sure you put your jars in hot water. But since mine is cooled off, and my jars were not hot anymore either, I'm using cold water. About 1.5 inches to 2 inches above the jar. Bring it back there, turn it on high heat, and put your lid on it. Do not start the 10-minute countdown until after the water starts boiling. So once the water starts boiling, I'll put it on for 10 minutes, count it for 10 minutes, and then turn it off. And I'll show you what I do after that. Okay, this has been boiling for 10 minutes. Now, after it boils for 10 minutes, you turn your stove off and let it sit for 5 minutes to let the bubbles all stop bubbling. Because if you open this when it's still bubbling and boiling, it's going to pop on you and burn you. Then you open your lid away from you. Okay. Take your little handles and bring it up. And there you go. You have a nice jar of Tabasco sauce that you can leave on your counter, on your shelf. Now, put that on your counter for at least 12 hours. I leave it overnight. And in the morning time, make sure that the middle of it is popped down. Usually it will pop within the first 10-20 minutes of taking it out of the canner. Once you get up in the morning and that middle has popped down, you take your lid off and try to pick it up by that little metal part very carefully, and if it's sealed good, it will stay on. If it did not seal good, it will pop off. Just put your lid back on it and put it in the refrigerator. Or you can try to water bath can it again. But once it's all done, you can put this on your shelf and it will be good for a couple years. So if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, share with all your friends, let them know, and hit that bell to get more notifications when I upload more videos. Have a blessed day. See you next time.